speakerphone. Maybe it was speakerphone that I needed to use. So we're just working on sound issues, everyone. Could you type that in? Yeah, so we're working on sound issues. Just one moment. Yeah, I just switched it to speakerphone. Maybe that will let it actually do the thing it needs to do.
Yeah, there you go. You're good.
It was speakerphone that I needed. Okay, that how's the sound quality? Okay. Okay, well, we have sound, it sounds like, we think. And if we're lucky, then the sound is coming through the microphone, my nice Bluetooth microphone, and not the camera's internal microphone. Okay, well, yeah, welcome to those. Why is this not going away? There we go. X-ray. Okay. Right. So if you are watching, welcome to Hanoi, Vietnam. We are at Hanoi International Airport. We are currently in the SH Lounge. It is it's the only priority pass lounge here at Hanoi. And I will tell you that it is a beautiful lounge. Check this place out. I will show it to you. Right. Yeah, check this out. It's just gorgeous. Yeah. This is our favorite lounge in Hanoi. Oh wow, I clearly need to clean those lenses as well. Yeah, it's a really beautiful lounge. And, often people say that priority pass lounges are garbage. And in the United States, I will agree with that. They very often are garbage, but this one is not. Hanson, could you get a napkin and wipe clean these lenses properly? Yeah, so yeah, they very often are. But here at Hanoi, the SH Lounge is the lounge of choice. Absolutely, it is gorgeous. It is better than the Vietnam Airlines Lounge, and Vietnam Airlines is the flag carrier of Vietnam, right? So when we are here at Hanoi, and we come through here quite a bit actually, because we usually fly Vietnam Air to get to Bangkok because it's less expensive, way less expensive than any of its competitors, and we're now flying Vietnam Air to get to Europe. So that's a tip. If you want to fly between Europe and Asia, Vietnam Air might be your baby, but especially, and this is a tip for you points people out there, if you do points, you've got credit card points that transfer, you have Delta points, you've got Sky Miles, Sky Pesos as they're called. You've got Sky Pesos as they're called. Your best redemption rates, honestly, are to use them to fly from Europe to Asia or Asia to Europe, because then you get access to Air France inventory, sometimes to KLM, to Korean Air inventory, and to Vietnam Air inventory. 80,000 points one way in business class versus flying Delta from Asia to, say, the United States, or I don't know, they're charging 320 to 540,000 points one way in Sky Miles. So yeah, if you've got a bunch of Sky Miles and you are in a position where you can fly from Europe to Asia or Asia to Europe, this is the place to use them. It really is. Melek, nice to see you. Welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. So Autistic, so those who are just joining, I'm at the SH Priority Pass Lounge in Hanoi. I am on my way to Paris, but Paris is also just a way station on my way to Barcelona. And then in Barcelona, I'm going to be embarking on Cunard's Queen Elizabeth. So I wanted to share some updates from the travel world thus far based on our travel experiences today. Also some tips for those of you who might be flying in or out of Korea or in or out of Vietnam. There's some good things, some useful things to know. One thing about flying in and out of Korea, for instance, and this is very important to keep in mind, even when the lines look long at the airports, security lines, even if they look scary and long, they move quickly. They always move quickly. They move really efficiently. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't still leave your 3 hours in advance for an international flight. But once you get checked in, it moves relatively quickly. So we experienced, we were at Kim Hae Airport, which is Busan's airport, and it's way too small for the number of people who live in Busan, way too small. And it's the only major airport south of Incheon. So it really should be bigger. And it is clearly overwhelmed by the number of flights going in and out, to the point where
messages to them.
Oh, to the point where, seriously, to the point where, there a lot of planes like our A330 wide body jet was at a hard stand. They bus and it was full. The flight was full, so they bused about 300 people to the plane to board. So Gimhae needs to expand. Their security is not designed to get that many passengers moving. So there was a Disney World at spring break line just to get through the passport checkpoint to get into the security lines to then go through immigration. But what was remarkable is despite this terrifyingly long line that literally just kept going on and on and on and on, it just kept building on itself like some kind of horrible mythic snake, right? But like a hydra or something. But despite that, we were through in 15 minutes from the time we got in that scary line to the time we were on the other side of immigration. So Korean airports are super efficient about making lines move, getting people through. That being said, there were some Americans in front of us who clearly don't travel much in Korea, and they were business class as we were, and they kept asking airport employee after airport employee, excuse me, is there a priority line? Is there a special line for business class passengers? And eventually I'm like, look, guys, just take the hint. No, there isn't. This is Korea. You don't get priority based on your class of service. So note that if you are flying into or out of Korea, there are no priority lines for business class for premium cabin passengers. There just aren't. Sorry. So keep that also in mind, that you're not going to get that time boost that you might get in other countries. That being said, in Vietnam, there is absolutely priority lines for business class passengers. So if you are either flying into or out of Vietnam, there will be priority lines for immigration and for security. But if you're transiting, there will also be a priority line at the airport for business class passengers to transit through the transit security. And for those of you who don't know, when you transit at an airport internationally, so if you're flying in from one country and flying anywhere else in that country or out of that country, there will be transit security. So you'll have to go through security again. You'll have to take out your laptop. You'll have to get rid of excess liquids, the whole 9 yards. In Vietnam, though, there is a priority line for business class passengers that will make your life so much happier if you're flying business class. So keep your eyes open for that. Let's see, what else? Boarding pass issues. So everyone, we now live in this digital world, and everyone is relying entirely on their phones for everything, including their brains. I'm not even going to wander down the black hole of AI and how you all should not be relying on AI to do your thinking for you. But I'll just say you shouldn't. Don't rely on AI results. They're garbage. Scroll past the AI results, do your own research, look at actually peer-reviewed sources. ChatGPT is not peer-reviewed. Anyway, so people are using Apple Pay and Google Pay, and now I've been reading reports of travelers leaving their credit cards at home, actual cards at home, and relying on their digital wallet. Guess how many reports I've read of people getting screwed by that because they end up in a place that doesn't accept the digital wallet, or their phones die, or their phones are stolen, or their phones just won't turn on, or the system doesn't work, and they've got no backup payment. So I don't care if you prefer to use digital forms of payment. That's all well and good. Always carry backup credit cards. Always. Or debit cards. Whatever. Actual plastic, actual metal. Right? And ideally have at least one Visa, one MasterCard, and one American Express. And one Discover, right? One of each kind of bank that processes these payments. We don't. That's okay. But at the very least, Amex, MasterCard, and Visa. But actually, at the very least, one MasterCard and one Visa, because you never know. One of those systems might not be accepted, or one of them might be down. Do not just rely on your digital form of payments, but also do not just rely on digital records for your bookings, for your itineraries, for your confirmation numbers. Because if your phone dies and you don't have your confirmation number, and you might not actually be able to check in for your flight, depending on what the system is doing. In our case, at Gimhae Airport, we waited in that Disney World long line, And my line mojo is terrible, by the way. Never get behind me in line, ever. It's not me that will block the line, but the person in front of me, something will happen to them, and the line will come to a grinding halt. Happened today, just as I predicted it would. The American gentleman in front of me got up to the passport security point, the first point you have to pass through at Korean airports before getting into the security line itself. Like basically what would be RTSA, where they check your ID. Well, he only had a digital boarding pass, and his digital boarding pass did not scan. He just waited in a 10-minute line, like literally 300 people long, and then his digital boarding pass didn't scan. He decided he was going to try to save time by not, because he didn't need to check a bag, and he was just going to go through security. Well, he didn't save time. He ended up having to go back to the actual Korean Air desk and get a printed out boarding pass. Now, Korea is really excellent about this. In America, they would just tell you, it's too bad, you're screwed. You're going to have to stand in the line again. Ask me how I know. He, on the other hand, I saw they had all these lanyards with special labels on, special badges on them. And the gentleman was told, he said, okay, the agent said, no problem. Go to the Korean Air desk. Here's your lanyard. Once you get your boarding pass, go to that little special entrance right over there. You won't have to wait in the line again. You've already done your time. So he didn't have to wait in the line again. But you might end up in a country or an airport where you will have to wait in line again. And so don't try to save on time. Don't even try to save on paper. Go get the printed boarding pass. Seriously. Trust me on this.
I didn't print the labels for the luggage.
You didn't print the labels for the luggage. Oh, well. Oh, well. So yeah, never rely on your device. You never know when your internet might fail, the device might break, your battery dies, gets stolen, right? Or the system just won't scan it from your screen for whatever reason. And especially, and some people don't know this, but different devices, sometimes have different refresh rates, and they cycle at different frequencies, and so certain scanners may or may not actually be able to scan them. So yeah. So yeah, other takeaways from today. Let's see. Oh yeah. Speaking of boarding passes, news. There are certain airlines that are talking about getting rid of printed boarding passes entirely, and I think that's utter garbage, because again, if your device fails, you're screwed. But also, now, as if it's device required. Now, there are some airlines that have been talking about going to biometrics. So literally, they scan your eyes and then you get in. So you don't even need anything. You don't need any boarding pass whatsoever. And that's a different conversation. If you're talking about biometrics, then literally if you lose your eyeballs, by the time you get to the gate, you've got bigger issues than boarding the flight. But for the airlines that are talking about just getting rid of boarding passes but not going to biometrics, no, that's nonsense. That's fake. That's a false economy, honestly. Oh, let's see. What else? Something else. TSA, and probably I expect other countries are going to follow suit on this. Electric toothbrushes may no longer go in your checked bags because they generally have lithium batteries. Some of you may or may not have been tracking the fact that lithium batteries have been causing fires on planes. And if that fire is in the cargo hold with the luggage, that's real bad. So if you're one of those people who use electric toothbrushes, you're going to need to bring it with you in your checked bags, but you also might want to check to make sure they're still allowed at all. Currently, lithium batteries are still allowed in your checked bags or your carry-on, obviously, because laptops and phones, it's all lithium-based batteries, but not in your checked bags because of the fire hazards. So, and they will inspect them and they will pull them out. I've had shit stolen. Really nice replica medieval jewelry stolen from my luggage by security. So, yeah. Don't put anything valuable in your checked bags. Honestly, if it's valuable, I would probably put my medieval jewelry in my carry-on, but oh well. Yeah. So no more electric toothbrushes in your checked bags, guys. Sorry. Let's see. Different countries. The U.S. just recently rescinded its prohibition on liquids in your carry-on. I think they either upped the amount or they just got rid of the liquid prohibition altogether. I don't remember what it was. But this brings me to my point of when you are traveling through multiple countries, if you have things that you don't want to lose, you might want to check what the various rules are for carry-on items and checked bags items. Because it would be a shame if you brought your very nice whatever and it's fine carrying it on the plane in the United States, but then you get to Abu Dhabi and it's illegal and it gets confiscated. And if you're lucky, if it just gets confiscated, by the way, because in many of those countries, you could be arrested for carrying some of those items. So if you're traveling to new countries, countries through which you haven't traveled in a while, double check all of those restrictions on items that can go into your carry-on and or into your checked bags. Obviously, when you check in for a flight, they nearly always say these items are prohibited, but there are other items that may be prohibited that aren't included in that list. So to prevent tears, always check with the respective authorities. And never, again, do not rely on ChatGPT. If you do a Google search, make sure that you're going to the official website of the country in question. They will have an official website for their security agency, for their travel security agency. Make sure you're reading the information from there. ChatGPT just digest whatever bullshit is out there on the internet and spits it back at you. If the bullshit is good, then it will be fine. If the bullshit is bad, then it will be wrong information. But ChatGPT can't distinguish between those two. You have to. So don't rely on the AI search results. Go to the actual official website to get your travel information and always keep checking back regularly. For instance, the EU is going to be implementing visitors visas for many countries, including the United States, because the United States levied a tourist visa against the EU. And that was supposed to have been fully operational by now. In fact, it was supposed to have been operational several years ago, but it still isn't. So you just need to keep checking back because now they're talking about March 2026, I think is when it's supposed to take effect. But meanwhile, some countries have already implemented it in the EU. How confusing is that? So always check and keep checking back because the situation can change at the drop of a hat. And it would be a shame if you land in your country of your destination and they tell you, sorry, you don't have the right paperwork to actually visit us. You have to get on the next plane back at your expense. So yeah, always update yourself regularly. Otherwise, we are here today, for those just joining, welcome. We are here today in the Priority Pass Lounge of Hanoi International Airport in Vietnam. This is the SH Premium Lounge. And interestingly, the people in front of us, none of them are Priority Pass members. They literally just paid to access this lounge. And honestly, it might actually be worth it. They actually have a full bar. I will show you all here. Right, they actually have a full bar. Oh gosh, it's not mirroring. They've got a bar with mocktails and cocktails. And they've got a lovely buffet. No, it is mirrored. They've got a lovely buffet. Right. It's got a really lovely atmosphere, tons of comfortable seating. We've got usual coffee machines, fresh fruit, all sorts of delicious, yummy things. So if you are in Vietnam, I really do recommend the Priority Pass lounges. In fact, for the most part, that applies to all of Asia that we've traveled to anyway. The Priority Pass lounges are actually really good, which is kind of shocking because, in the United States, Priority Pass lounges can be a little bit garbage, right? So yeah, they're not abroad. At least in Asia, the Priority Pass lounges tend to be pretty darn good, and usually often on par with the airline lounges, and sometimes superior to the airline lounges, depending on the airline in question. Vietnam Air needs to up its game a little bit for its lounge. It's not a bad lounge. God knows, I've been worse. Maybe this.
We haven't been in today.
That's true. We haven't been in today, but I doubt it. So yeah, I know hashtag Contessa World problems, but this is all part of the points and credit card points game, right? Oh, let's see other things to talk about. Yeah, if you have a chance to travel in Asia, I really recommend it. It's a whole different world, especially if you've only ever traveled in the U.S. It's the way you get treated on flights, you actually get treated like an honored guest instead of like a burden or a bother. There's they're much more flight attendants are much more deferential, but not in an awkward way. It's warmly deferential. You actually feel pampered. The beverages and food are far better than on a similar length flight in the U.S. The garbage we've learned to accept, we've been brainwashed into accepting in the U.S. is, well, it's just that it's garbage. No one should pay for the kinds of things we pay for, actually, especially the amount that we actually end up having to pay for it. Yeah. So, any questions, everyone? I know this is an odd time of day for many of you, many of my normal followers, so maybe you'll be watching this as a recording. If you're watching this as a recording, if you put any questions in the comments, I will answer them. But, this is the time that I happen to be out and about. Our flight isn't until 11:30 tonight. Oh, that's another tip. If you are transiting through Vietnam, on Vietnam Air especially, one of the perks of transiting through Vietnam on Vietnam Air is their transit tours. They have them in Saigon and Hanoi. You have to, I think it's a minimum of a 6-hour layover or something like that. I specifically booked an itinerary that would have that has us here for 10 hours so that we could take advantage of and the transit tour is free, by the way. But I lost track of time and I forgot to book the transit tour. You have to book the transit tour within 8 days of your departure, and you also need a transit visa. So if you're flying on Vietnam Air through Vietnam to somewhere else, check out their transit tour. Go to their website and do a search for transit tour, and then book the transit tour. You also need a transit visa. They're not hard to get for many countries, but you do need one. And also, if you have a layover and you just want to do your own DIY thing, I recommend it. Vietnam's a beautiful country and it's safe. Like, that's not a problem. But you need to have that transit visa, and you'll need photographs for that transit visa. And you may or may not be able to get a transit visa the day you arrive. So you might want to look into applying in advance for your transit visa. So just be aware of, it's not like Europe where you can just wander in, well, for many of us anyway, you can just wander out of the airport and then wander back into the airport. Vietnam, you definitely need more bureaucratic steps than that. Yeah. Oh, let's see. What else did we talk about? Yeah, on the way here, we were shown so many beautiful things on the screens, our seatback screens. Beautiful scenery and sights in Vietnam, amazing handcrafts in Vietnam, foods, the more traditional historical experiences that are very much out in the countryside. And so we actually discovered that there are tours here, handcraft tours, where they will guide you out into the back and beyond of Vietnam, where the air is clear and the water runs blue, the mountains are green and misty and beautiful, and you'll actually get to learn how to do these handcrafts, not just watch other people do them, you do them yourself. So that's something we're going to be looking at doing in the next year here, is a Vietnam handcraft tour. Because I definitely want to visit all of those beautiful places that they showed us on that seatback screen. And I want to learn to do those amazing handcrafts, because there's some. Oh, yeah, one was silversmithing. I think there was silk making there. Yeah, embroidery. Oh, you actually go and harvest tea and process the tea. Yeah, so there's all kinds of amazing opportunities here in Vietnam. Now, Vietnam is, coming into its own.
15 days.
Ooh, 15 days. 15 days of traditional handcrafts and food preparation. So definitely excited about coming back for that.
Mode of transportation.
Let's see. What else? Oh, for those of you who are traveling in Korea, by the way, remember that Korea, or to Korea and around Korea has an amazing public transit system. Take advantage of it. It's affordable, it's cheap, it's easy. Americans especially, want to go to land in a country and rent a car. I don't recommend doing that in Korea, honestly. The express bus system is really, the buses, it's nothing like Greyhound. My recent experience with Greyhound makes me never want to take Greyhound again. Oh my God. It was nightmarish and horrific. I mean, the bus smelled like rotten garbage, and it was filthy. Oh my god, it was disgusting. Korean buses are nothing like that. They're super clean. The seats are luxuriously padded and comfortable. They recline almost to a lie flat bed. Um, they're very inexpensive for a 4.5 hour bus ride. It's $35. That's really inexpensive. So, and that's my tip for if you're flying into or out of Korea and you have lots of luggage, like we generally do because we're always going someplace that requires a lot of clothing or kit or whatever. Take the buses to the airport. From the express bus station to the airport, they're express, which means no stops. Go straight to the airport. And then you don't have to worry about wrestling your baggage on and off of trains, up and down the stairs to get in trains. Because in Korea, lost connection for a moment. I think we're live again. Yes, maybe. Okay. Because in Korea, you do have to climb up onto the train. Now, don't worry if you've got mobility issues. I'll address that in a moment. Point is that you're going to have to haul your bags up and down stairs and find a way to store them just to get on and off the train. And that means if you have any changes, which to get to any airport in Korea, you will have to change from one transport method to another. There are sadly no more trains that go nonstop directly to any airport, not even Incheon, because Korail canceled the service of the KTX, the high-speed train that actually went to the airport. Korea should never have allowed that. Bad job, Korea. Should never have allowed that route to be canceled. So that means that you have to take the train into Seoul Station and then change to the express train, which is very far away from the main platforms. So my travel tip for Korea is if you have bags, take the bus. The bags are loaded up underneath the bus and you never have to see them again until you get to the airport. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Yes, the bus will take longer every time, always. Taking the car, taking a bus will always take longer than taking the train in Korea. It just will. But in the case of having lots of luggage to go to the airport, I think it's a way better plan to take the bus and just take a nap. Enjoy. You can relax. The buses are so comfortable in Korea. So that's my big tip. And if you're in Daegu, for my Daegu followers, if you're in Daegu, then you definitely should look into flying into or out of Gimhae, Busan's airport, rather than going up to Incheon. That's what we did for this flight, and I was really ecstatic to find a ward space flying out of Busan instead of Incheon, because when we fly out of Incheon from Daegu, we generally go up the night before, which means we have to pay for a hotel, lose a whole extra day of travel, right? Whereas when we fly out of Busan, just get up, hop on a bus, it's an hour, and we're at Gimhae Airport. So, and definitely if you're going to Busan Airport, the train is definitely not the way I would go, because you need to change two different modes of transit to get from Busan train station to Gimhae Airport. There is no direct express train in Busan. Unfortunately, that connects the main train station to the airport. So you have to change two different forms, metro to light rail, and then you get to the airport. And if you've got luggage, that's really inconvenient. Okay, any questions, anyone? Yeah, the adventure goes on from here. We are proceeding. We will have a 12-hour-ish flight, something like that, to Paris, and then we will be, pray for us, we will be changing planes at Charles de Gaulle now. Pro tip for Charles de Gaulle: if you are flying business class, again, there is a priority line for immigration and for transit security. Follow the lines for business class and ask about it. Don't get stuck in the otherwise terrifying transit lines at Charles de Gaulle. Also, if you are flying through Charles de Gaulle Airport and you are transiting, make sure you plan for plenty of time. Otherwise, you will miss your connection. Now, as long as your flights are all on one ticket, it won't matter, because the airline, they're the ones who allowed you to book that itinerary, and if they didn't create the conditions for you to make your connection, they'll just put you on the next available flight and you won't have to pay more. But mostly we don't like missing our flights. And also, if you miss your flight, probably your luggage might get lost. So if you're flying through Charles de Gaulle Airport, try to choose an itinerary that allows you at least 3 hours. I'm not kidding. You can absolutely make it in less time than that, but also you might not. If you're flying business class, no problem. Like I said, you've got the priority lines at Charles de Gaulle. If you're not flying business class, you're going to be waiting in what seems like purgatory. Ask me how I know. So yeah, make smart choices when booking flights that transit through Charles de Gaulle Airport, as we shall be. We're flying. Our connection is on Air France. Happily, Air France has multiple flights down to Barcelona from Paris. So if we don't make our connection, I'm not terribly stressed about it. But I did also plan a 3-hour layover, so we should be okay. I'm hoping we have enough time to enjoy the Air France lounges because Air France's lounges are really nice, especially their flagship lounge in Terminal 2E, I think it is. They've got amazing cheese at the Air France lounge. Who would have guessed? From there, we are then connecting to Barcelona, which will be tomorrow. So yeah, by the time this is all said and done, honestly, by the time we get to Barcelona, we will have been traveling for 33 hours or something like that. We will have been traveling for quite a while, and that's okay. It's fine. Like I said, I picked this itinerary because we were booking on points. So it's worth it in my opinion to, use points, have low taxes and fees. We have the time right now, and I can do my sewing, I can do my live streaming, I can do my content creation when on the road. So it's not a big deal that, we have taking this extra time. Obviously, though, many people don't necessarily have a day or two to burn just on getting to and from a place. So I get that this is a privilege that I have right now in my life. Okay, was there anything else we wanted to talk about, Hanson? he just put some cassava chips in his mouth, breathed cassava dust, and is now choking. Yeah.
I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, we will be live streaming from the ship as much as possible from our 14-day Mediterranean voyage. We will be live streaming from Barcelona. I will be putting on full 15th century Gothic clothing, and we will be doing a walking tour of the Gothic quarter of Barcelona first thing in the morning, when hopefully no one is awake, or there are just a few people still awake. In Spain, there might be people still awake from the night before. And we'll be showing you some of the most haunting, beautiful corners of the city. Hopefully, sin turistas, sin turistas, right? Without the tourists. Yeah. Otherwise, one more sweep of the lounge here, so you can see what the SH lounge is like. Yeah, and then I'll also give you a. Oh no, that is definitely not what I meant to do. That's what I meant to do.
You can take that central probe out entirely.
Right. It's a really beautiful lounge. I really love the vibe here. It's very Art Deco, very Art Nouveau.
The sound is good here.
Yeah, and it muffles the sound, which is nice. There's the condottiero, and let me show you. Sorry about that. It's a bit of a rough thing. I'm going to show you that the landscapes here are gorgeous. Oh, by the way, there are bats literally in this airport. And I mean that. Inside this airport, there are bats flying around. I hope they want to be here and they're not trapped here. Otherwise, I feel very sad for them. Unfortunately, those mountains look really far away. I'm going to see if I can make them closer. Yeah, that's better. It's less of a skewed view. There's just these beautiful mountains that seem to be kissing the clouds. Also, it looks like people are burning their fields, and that's not ideal. But there it is. Val Airlines, down the apron, China Eastern Air. Yeah. And somewhere over there, it's raining, apparently, even though I can't really see it. But I have to tell you, the velvety mountains, the way they look so beautiful in the sunlight there, it really does make me want to get out and explore more. But we messed that up completely by not applying for our transit visa in a timely fashion. Yeah, that's on me. So just remember, if you are transiting through Vietnam and you are flying on Vietnam Airlines, and you should absolutely take advantage of their amazing transit tour. Whether it's Hanoi or Saigon, doesn't matter. Both of them have amazing transit tour options, and it's free. It's free. It's literally just a way for them to promote the beauty of their country, especially now that they've recovered from certain events 50 years ago. Not naming names or anything. So, any questions, anyone? Does anyone? Any questions? I'm just going to give you another look at the apron. Final. Don't forget to like and subscribe, everyone. If you'd like to follow me on my upcoming cruise adventures, if I have Wi-Fi on the plane, I might try to live stream mid-flight on our 12-hour Vietnam Air flight. We're flying. It's a Dreamliner, actually. So I'll be interested to see how that differs from their wide-body A330, the Boeing 787. Yeah. And then we'll be very briefly in Paris. And then we'll be live streaming from Barcelona. And then we will definitely be doing lots of live streaming from onboard Queen Elizabeth, showing you what a cruise with Cunard is like. We're going to show you the formal nights. We're going to show you the restaurants. We're going to show you what the beautiful Mediterranean looks like. We're going to live stream from many of the ports. So if you'd like to see what some of these stunning ports are like, then do come with us. And of course, I'll share my usual acerbic sense of wit as we're going out and about and exploring the world. Otherwise, thank you all for joining me today. I hope to see you at future streams. So until next time, everyone, may your travels be unplanned and unexpected.